We are back. Thank you to Boss Security for, of course, bringing us that beautiful view of historic Market Street. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio, and in that studio, Assemblyman Phil Palmesano. I got to move my camera a little bit. Sorry about that, Phil. How you doing this morning?
Good morning, Frank. How are you?
Good.
With you again.
Good to see you. We've got a lot to talk about. Let's start out with a viewer comment. And this says, good morning. Looking forward to Phil being on this morning. Well, here he is. I would appreciate any thoughts he may have on what we can do to fight back against the never-ending rapid increase that NYSEG is proposing. It's supposed to be a 5-year implementation to appease us and make it less painful. Do we really think that there won't be more increases on top of this over 5 years? I don't believe it.
Well, I mean, NYSEG is one in a list of utilities that have been going to the PSC to ask for rate increases. Just yesterday, National Grid was approved by the PSC for rate increases upwards of 30%, which by their own numbers would increase over a 3-year period utility bills by over $600.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, that's what we're looking at. I mean,
that's insane.
This is, and the NYSEG they just came off of a 3-year rate increase, and now again they're going to this proposal they put out there was like a 1 year. They're talking about 35% increase for electric, 39% for gas, and then they'd like to spread out over the period of time. And of course, the governor, and these are ridiculous increases. I'll be the first one to admit it. The thing is, yeah, I get the hypocrisy from Governor Hochul and even some of my other colleagues in the legislature, Democratic colleagues in the legislature, who are really critical of the increases. And I understand the critiquing of it.
Yeah.
But the fact of the matter is, Governor Hochul and the Democrats in the legislature fail to look in the mirror and recognize it's their
They're the
green
problem.
energy mandates that are creating this problem. Where was Governor Hochul's outrage in July of 23 when the PSC approved $43 billion in future ratepayer increases specifically to pay for the green energy mandates? Mm-hmm. Where was Governor Hochul's outrage when her own plan with the passage of the CLCPA, which used a 20-year methodology versus a 100-year methodology to measure emissions, like every other state does, -1, like the U.S. uses, the International Coal uses, 100-year methodology. Because of that, it will increase prices at the pump by 63 cents a gallon, increase natural gas home heating costs by 79%. Where was her outrage? What is she doing about that? Nothing. She continues to move forward with this march towards full electrification, which we know is not going to work. It's not reliable. No. And now the other thing on this energy, they released an energy plan for a draft comment, and in September there's going to be hearings around the state. And we had a briefing with NYSERDA, who's kind of putting it together. They said they're trying to justify the additional spending. They said if we don't do anything, just kind of going along as well, we're looking at 100. This is like a 15-year look out over 15 years. Yeah, $120 billion in costs, but if they do more, if they get to net zero, they're talking about a 35% increase, which would be an increase of $449 a month on utility bills. So
when does it end? And I mean, I know a lot of people saw increases. I know your office got calls. Senator O'Mara got calls when we put the new smart meters in and whatever you think about those. I know a lot of people's bills went up on that. And then on top of that, they've had these increases. I do want to read because Governor Hochul to make a comment on this. It was WLEA, or Friends of WLEA. I got this from their website, and that gives me an opportunity to make a nice promotion for our good friend, Hornell Mayor John Buckley. You've been on his show. The Pulse is on WLEA. It's on at 1 o'clock Saturday and Sunday. His guest this week, Tom O'Mara, Senator Tom O'Mara. That's a good one. So that's how I segue into a promotion for the Pulse. But WLAA has the quote from Governor Hochul saying, while I appreciate that the New York Public Service Commission worked to significantly lower the outrageously high initial rate proposal, it's still not enough. I've been crystal clear that utilities must make ratepayer affordability the priority. Since taking office, my administration has prioritized energy affordability, particularly for our most vulnerable, and we need the utilities to take it more seriously as well. That means at a time when worried New Yorkers are being forced to tighten their budgets, all utilities must follow suit. There's no time for bonuses and big raises for executives, especially if they're going to be looking to raise rates on their customers. It's always the same old boogeyman. It's not, like you said, it's not looking in the mirror. It's like, let's blame the quote-unquote rich, right? Just like she does when we talk about taxes.
Right. I mean, listen, let's be realistic. I mean, there certainly needs to be some upgrades to the infrastructure because it's been not funded the way it should be over a proper long-term period of time.
Of course.
So now we're getting all this hit. Then you double down with all these mandates for these electrification mandates, the demands on the grid, the electrification of vehicles, the electrification of the solar, wind going on the lines. That's going to, and the problem with that is it's not even reliable energy. That's the fact. Wind and solar is intermittent energy. It doesn't work if the sun's not shining and the wind's not blowing. It's not a reliable source of energy. And even from a reliability perspective, the NISO, which is tasked with making sure the lights stay on, the power stays on, the heat stays on, has said we need by 2040 to meet these mandates, 27 to 45 gigawatts of dispatchable emission-free resources. Now, for your viewers, and I know I'm inside baseball language, 1 gigawatt is the equivalent of powering 750,000 homes. So 27 to 45 gigawatts of dispatchable emission-free resource. Wind and solar does not count. That's not dispatchable. That doesn't, because it's not available 24/7. Nuclear is dispatchable. That's a reliable source of energy. Natural gas is dispatchable. That's a reliable source of energy. And just to put that in perspective, our total generating capacity in New York State is 41 gigawatts. So what you're saying, we need to, because we have to do this massive build out to meet all this wind and solar that they want to advance, is for clean energy. And where does all that appear? In upstate New York, on land use, taking away prime farmland, polluting our upstate areas.
Yeah.
They're not putting it down in New York City. And the fact of the matter, in New York State, upstate New York, 90% of our generation right now is emission-free, because we have the hydro and we have the nuclear power plants, and we do have some bits of wind and solar, but that's really negligible in that amount. It's more the nuclear and the hydro. But yet,
Kelly Fitzpatrick, the chair, just walked by and waved at us.
Hey, Kelly. But I mean, that's where the hypocrisy, the frustration comes. And when you talk we're doing all this in New York. And New York only contributes to 0.4% of total global emissions. 0.4. China contributes over 30%, has 1,000 coal plants, and build more every week. And in fact, last year, China expanded their coal generating capacity by 95 gigawatts. Remember?
Yeah.
That's double our total generating capacity with wind, solar, hydro, natural gas, oil, and nuclear. So when does it stop? And how do we stop it? We need, start with, in my opinion, electing a new governor next year.
Yes.
Because we know those who've talked about it have said we need to address this, and we can get down. We're 0.4%. We can get down to zero, but we're not going to do anything to affect global climate change and global emissions. But we will dismantle our economy and drive more families and businesses out of the state of New York. And when businesses, they care about, and families care about two things when it comes to energy: affordable and reliable. And if they can't get affordable and reliable energy in New York, they will exit the state, like we see.
Don't you think that with Hochul coming up, you mentioned re-election, I know that she signaled that there's some delays on some of this because we're not going to hit our goals. That's all window dressing, right? To get through the election and then say, okay, now we're back on track. So she wants to keep her kind of the more radical green part of her party in favor with her, at the same time play both ends towards the middle and suggest, because she doesn't want to send a new bill to you that's that expensive, right before election. She wants to send you the rebate check.
Well, yeah, and that's why they pass it off to these unelected bureaucrats, the PSC, to do the dirty work. And there's a former commissioner, John Howard, who's been very vocal and critical of what the administration is doing, what the Democrats are doing, and he's a Democrat, saying that they're looking at costs or affordability in this process. I mean, there was never a cost-benefit analysis done on the CLCPA, what it would impact, how it would impact ratepayers. The fact of the matter is we're talking about a $250 billion just to put this plan in place. $250 billion. I mean, where does this stop? And it's going to go on and on and on. And these rate increases, after 3 years, they're going to go for another rate increase because they have to continue to invest in this infrastructure. That's going to take time to make these mandates. But affordability, costs, reliability, feasibility, and safety are not part of the discussion when it comes to the energy plan in New York State. It's only about green, renewable, and so-called clean, and I argue it's not clean. And the fact of the matter is their energy plan, again, there's going to be hearings next month. I mean, there's a virtual one this month, but there's going to be hearings around the state, which we hope to be very visible at because we think we need to be. But even their energy plan, and when you look at the wording of it, it talks about having to keep what we have in place, because recognizing the natural gas is needed, and natural gas has been referred to as a bridge fuel. I think it should be a permanent fuel, but
Yeah.
Even if it's a bridge fuel, you don't tear down a bridge before you build a new one, and that's exactly what they're doing. Because remember, I said 27 to 45 gigawatts of dispatchable emission-free resource. They don't have the technology. They don't know what it's going to be. They keep talking about, but they don't know. So how do you do this, and how do you move forward with this plan when the technology isn't in place? They don't know if it's going to be advanced nuclear. They don't know if it's going to be carbon capture or sequestration. They don't know if it's going to be hydrogen, what it's going to be. But they just keep moving forward full speed ahead with this plan. And yeah, you might get comments saying we got to slow down here or there, but they're not slowing down with the policies they're implementing. They just passed the 100-foot rule. The government was looking to sign it. That's going to just limit people's availability and access to natural gas. They got the All Electric Buildings Act starting next year. All new buildings have to be electric. You can't use natural gas. I mean, so you're taking away energy of choice. That's going to drive up housing construction. It's going to drive up the cost of lumber. It's going to drive up the cost of everything because prices are going to go up across the board. And I just don't understand. But really their plan, and I said this time and time again, is because 60% of New Yorkers heat their homes with natural gas. 40% of our generation comes from natural gas. Mm-hmm. But their plan is totally designed to dismantle the affordable and reliable natural gas infrastructure, supply and delivery system. It's totally designed to take away consumer choice on how you heat your home, cook your food, power your buildings, and the vehicle you drive. It will jeopardize the reliability of the grid, and the NICE already signaled the concerns about the future reliability of the grid, and it will continue our nation-leading out-migration of more families, farmers, small businesses, and manufacturers leaving our state. That's not looking at affordability. That's not looking at reliability. That's not looking out for the best interests of the people of the state.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but I think at the time we talked about it, there was an exemption that when we talk about reliability, that nursing homes and hospitals could use natural gas because they realized that it is more reliable.
Yeah, there are some exemptions, but at the same time,
but it goes to prove how bad the point is. Yeah.
But you have proposals out there like the HEAT Act, which would get the PSC the approval to go into neighborhoods and shut down natural gas. And then what's that leave a customer or a resident? You basically have to convert over to electrification. Mm-hmm. So the study's done. It'll cost you $30,000 to $50,000 to convert your home over from natural gas to full electrification. That's just not the appliances. That's dealing with the circuit, the upgrades, the shell of your property. It's a significant investment. And people don't have that money. They don't want to spend $35,000 to electrify their home for a real unreliable source of energy.
Exactly.
They want that money to provide for their families, to maybe help pay for college or to get by. But yeah, they keep advancing this, and they go and follow the push of the environmental advocates. It's a radical energy plan. And Governor Hochul simply does not have the backbone to stand up to him. Because I will go back to the point where I mentioned if we didn't change our methodology from a 20-year to a 100-year methodology, she tried to have people talk about it after the budget and then landed with a thud. So all she has to do is put it in her budget. And I asked Doreen Harris, the president of NYSERDA, why won't the governor put this in her budget? Or is she okay with the 63-cent increase in prices at the pump and a 79% increase for natural gas? And she said, what we're trying to do is, I go, I don't want to hear what you're trying to do.
Yeah.
If she thinks this is the right thing to do, put it in your budget. Fight for it. Yes, you're going to have a hard time with it, but show you're standing up for the ratepayers. Show you're standing up for the consumers and affordability, like you say you are in your press releases, but you don't back it up with your actions and policy.
We got to take a break, but I had two comments, and we've got a bunch of comments coming from viewers, but this was during the week, and I saved them because I knew you were going to be on. First was Ken. I thought his was funny. He said, I just had an epiphany on how to find the money needed to get New York out of its financial crisis. Open up fracking in New York. Problem solved. And then, great point, right? And then another comment, and this was from he didn't give his name, but it was a 60-year-old veteran. And he said, I would like your opinion on the NYSEG electrical scam that replacing your meter is going to reduce your electrical costs. Since 2019, I've replaced windows and upgraded my furnace and went on an on-demand water heater. Why are my costs still going up? It's so frustrating, isn't it?
It is frustrating.
When you're doing everything right and your prices still go up.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense.
No.
It's just it is frustrating. 100%.
All right, we'll read more comments when we come back. Those are old ones from throughout the week that I saved, but we've got a lot of comments coming in. So stay with us. We'll be right back with Frankly Speaking after this. The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam brought to you by Boss Security in Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio in the studio. Assemblyman Phil Palmesano. Phil, you got a lot of questions coming in, so buckle up, okay? Now, this is for you, but it's actually, this is more, and I would recommend to this viewer, pass it along to your assembly person, which would be Chris Friend, because they're in Chemung County. But when someone is in the neighborhood, is growing lots of marijuana plants in a garden and selling it out of their home, can people do anything about that? People are coming and going all the time. Code enforcer and state police have been at the house many times. Is there anything that can be done to stop it?
Well, it's definitely problematic. That goes back with the law we passed. I don't remember how much exactly that allows individuals to have
Yeah, I don't
and
remember.
grow.
Yeah.
But it's being taken advantage of. I mean, you see it even. I mean, the whole way that we rolled this whole thing out to legalize it and then now allow for the selling and the dispensary of it, which we've seen the problems of that. We've seen it from the sticker store side of it, which has plagued our neighborhoods and our communities, all even here in the Southern Tarrant Finger Lakes region. And then even with it from the dispensary side of it, the legal process that's in place, how Office of Cannabis Management and this administration screwed up so dramatically.
So bad.
You're not supposed to be within 500 feet of a school.
Yeah.
You're not.
Yeah.
And
there was 100 and some, more than that, they almost 200, right, that were too close by their own rules.
Including one right here in Corning.
Yeah.
I mean, that's right down the street from an elementary school, and it's even closer to the youth center.
Yeah.
I mean, what brilliant
I know. Be careful.
idiot at OCM would approve that for that location.
Well,
it's not supposed to be there, period.
Yeah, the old director of OCM said this was all intentional. They just wanted to get them in. But, you know, whatever you think, and I've been saying this on the program, whether you were for legalization, against it, I don't care about that. But these people that invested in their business and went through the bureaucratic process, and now that same group is saying, oh, sorry, we got to take it away, is wrong. I mean, we keep sending messages to businesses. And again, push aside the marijuana part of it. We keep sending businesses, just like we did with energy policy, that, oh, you've followed all the rules, went through all the red tape. Well, guess what? We're going to fine you after the fact because we now believe climate change is caused by you.
Yeah, that's like
I know it's kind of weird to combine those two. And again, that's pushing aside the pot. But I feel bad for that person because I'm not out on Market Street that late because I get up so early. I went out to dinner a couple days ago. The smell is everywhere.
Oh, it's terrible.
It's
wherever you go nowadays.
I know.
People are just it's just like they think it's like smoking a cigarette. They don't care, and it's really unfortunate. And that's my concern with it when we passed it. I opposed it all the way along because I said there was going to be unintended consequences. You know, what happened at the sticker stores, and then when we want to go after them, make tougher penalties. The Democrats only don't want tougher penalties. They just want to make just a little pat on the cheek, say, hey, do better, and we'll give you a warning. And then nothing. There's never any follow up. Whether it's Office of Cannabis Management, they don't let our locals enforce it on their own. They have to have OCM do it. And then even going through this process of a legal process, that should have been caught.
Yeah.
I mean, that individual who wanted to locate a business, let's say here in Corning or Elmira, it should be done the proper way, and they should have. Quite frankly, they should have known how close they were to school.
Well, now they want to go extreme. They want to move it even closer than the 500. They want
change,
200.
They want to change because we were asking for the violations. What kind of violations are being written? Now they got legislators want to shorten the distance so more can. It's crazy.
I know.
It doesn't make any sense. And that's not really a wise thing to be around our schools.
Not at all. Comment from a different viewer. Thanks, Phil and Frank. All this electric price increase is a ploy to gain support for green energy. If they make electric from fossil fuels more expensive, then maybe green energy will gain traction in the public eye. Yeah, kind of price people out from gas, right?
Oh yeah, well that's the goal.
Yeah,
it really is. It's the goal. They want to get people off natural gas because if you do the 100-foot rule, so you don't allow new customers, either new customers or conversions to natural gas, where the 100-foot rule would be, there's a subsidy to that, no doubt about it. But that money comes back through the long-term payback. That's done because when you have more users on the system, that spreads out those fixed costs for operational and infrastructure improvements over that base. But when you take more people off the system, it increases costs for everyone else. So what do? They have fewer people on the system. The policy, they have fewer people on the system. Therefore, it's going to increase costs for those fewer people, and then they're going to feel like they have no choice but to look for the other side. And those upfront costs are tremendous, and it's not a reliable source of energy. I mean, I keep going back to the storm in Buffalo a couple of years ago. How many, 40 plus people died. If they were on full electrification, it would have been much more tragic than even that.
Absolutely. Oh, just to back up with the pot question, they've been told to stop selling, but neighbors see, sell, and continue. It's so hard to enforce because of the ways they created the laws. Like you said, that I can't remember how much it is, but the individual can have a significant amount of plants.
Significant.
So it's hard
more
to
than anyone
enforce
would
it.
even think about it.
Yeah.
And then if you have people, taking advantage of that and abuse it. Say it's 5 pounds, and then wow, I'll go 6 or so. Yeah. And then they're selling it for money. I mean, it's just illegal.
And it's very difficult for law enforcement to keep going into these places because of the process involved. And then if you go in and they have X amount, they're fine. So it's very difficult. I understand your frustration, though. I don't want you to think we don't.
100%.
A comment from a different viewer. How much federal money has Hochul lost New York State so far? Why did we go after Trump? Couldn't we have waited more than one day? But to put that in her budget as if there was nothing that was going to change was such a disservice to all of us.
Yeah, I mean, we knew there were going to be changes to the system. But the Democrats and Governor Hochul spent at levels they shouldn't have spent. $13 billion more than last year. Putting in place a budget that already projected, the budget they adopted before the changes came from the federal government, already projected out-year deficits of $28 billion. Yeah. Now on top of it, it's even added more, $750 million additional gap for this year, plus $3 billion more for next year. So instead of $7 billion for next year, it's $10 billion. Now we're looking at over $30+ billion over the next 3 years. I mean, that's unsustainable, but it's because we spend too much money. Mm-hmm. The budget we passed last year was $250 billion budget. Yeah. I like to use the word $250 billion to put it in perspective, because you say $252 billion will be trillion. I think puts it in perspective. I mean,
sure does.
That's a lot of money, and you can't keep spending at that level. It's unsustainable. I mean, and our Medicaid program is probably the most expensive in the nation, because we expand it for all these programs. There's no checks and balances on the people that are qualifying. And the main thing that they did with the federal policy was to allow, say, single-bodied people who are able can work. You got to work, or you got to be going to school, or showing you're working, or volunteering. And that drove an uproar for people. It's not going after single pregnant women, disabled individuals. It's about that one policy. And also to make sure there's some checks and balances and some accountability in the system as well, because there's tremendous waste, fraud, and abuse in the Medicaid system. And I think the total amount being spent is like $90 billion. It's almost more than a quarter, 30-40% of our budget.
Wow.
It's a tremendous amount of spending.
All right, Ken writes in, Frank and Phil, do you think that Democrats are concerned with the fact that solar and wind power are not a reliable source of energy for the people? Or are they more focused on the fact that these unreliable energy sources will become reliable sources of income for themselves and their benefactors? Fair question. I mean, there's been a lot of people who made a lot of money off of green energy.
Yep. And unfortunately, I'll say it, and I stand by this, I say it on the floor all the time, the policies being driven by Governor Hochul and the Democrats in the legislature is not about affordability, even though they'll put affordability out there, reliability in their statements, but their policies don't back it up. Affordability, reliability.
She said her budget was about affordability.
Yeah. What an oxymoron.
I know.
And so affordability, reliability, feasibility, safety are not part of the energy plan of New York State. And it's all designed to dismantle consumer choice and to dismantle the affordable and reliable natural gas infrastructure supply and delivery system we have in the state. And it will continue to drive more people out of the state, but it will jeopardize the reliability grid. And even the NISO has expressed those concerns with the reliability margins gaps they see already.
Mr. Palmesano, what is a positive way to fight back against NISAG? Any ideas?
Well, I mean, obviously, you can't comment. Everyone can comment to the PSC and just weigh in there. I mean, people are speaking out, but I will say this: it's a negotiation. I mean, their rates are too high. Yeah. And this increase is ridiculous.
It really is.
But it always starts out high, and it'll get negotiated down to some degree. Yeah. I hope it should.
I hope so.
But you see what they just did with National Grid is concerning, because they supposedly not negotiated down, but it's around 30%, $600 increase.
That's not
for
much
family.
Negotiation.
And then you got the problem is you have all these other these are what they're doing now. Then you have all these other problems like cap and invest that are coming down the pipeline that is also showing to increase prices at the pump for people and natural gas home heating costs. And then you have all these other policies like the ACT regulation on trucking, advanced clean car on the auto industry, which will dismantle those industries in New York State if they move forward without any recognition of the impacts, and the stress on the grid when you don't even have a charging network in place. But you have to pay for this charging network, you have to pay for the substations, you have to pay for the transformers that are going to need to be expanded and built upon to meet these green energy mandates. So I'm not going to lie to viewers. This is a tough battle unless we can change the policies that's being driven in the state. But we continue to speak out. I continue to speak out. Tom, America's friend, Joe Sempolinski, we all continue to speak out. And I know our federal reps are doing the same thing, but it gets challenging and frustrating at the same time.
We better take a break. We got other great comments coming in, and we appreciate it. Keep them coming in because we got a lot to get to, and we're just getting started. Stay with us. We'll be right back with Frankly Speaking. We are back with our beautiful view of historic Market Street in the heart of the Gaffer District. Picturesque. Thank you to Boss Security for bringing us that view. And we are broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio. In that studio, Assemblyman Phil Palmesano. Let's go through some quick viewer comments. You're going to have a ton of comments, Phil. First, hello and good morning. Well, good morning.
Morning.
Phil, is Elise Stefanik going to run or not? And are the electric and gas increases a done deal? Do you think Hochul will stand down on them?
Number one on Elise, I hope she does get in. Yeah. I mean, I think Mike Lawler was a good candidate. He's announced he's running for Congress, so he's out. I think at least Stefanik obviously has the ability.
Clear choice, yeah.
And she certainly can fundraise, well-known. So I hope she gets in. Because she'll be a very strong and formidable candidate against Governor Hochul.
100%. And the polls show her. I mean, I know it's 14 down, which some people say, well, that's great.
That's great. At this point in time, when she's not even an official candidate and a year and a half out from the election, yes. So
because the last poll that I had before Lee Zeldin, he ended up finishing, I think, within 6 points, right? But the last poll before Election Day, he was at 11 points. So after all the hard work he did, all the great work he did.
And she's 14 now.
14.
Think about where Pataki was with Cuomo in those years. I mean,
and Elise is a fundraising powerhouse.
She is, and she can actually the money she's raised as well. She can transfer that over into the state accounts. So she'll do well if she gets in. I just wish she'd get in sooner rather than later.
Yeah,
and hopefully she gets in. But she can win.
And the electric and gas increases are not a done deal.
Not for NYSEG.
Not for NYSEG.
NYSEG, this is probably a 1 to 18-month negotiation, probably at least a year.
Yeah.
So they have to hearings. They announced the rate increase a couple months ago. And crazy, but that's the process. So it's a negotiation process with the PSC. They try to go back and forth on what they need, what they don't need, and try to justify it. And so I hate to say it, there's going to be an increase of some sort. I don't think it's going to be I hope it's not the 35 and 39%. They're talking about 35 for electric, 39% for gas. So.
I think you're right. They start with, let's say 39, and everybody gets outraged and they go, don't worry, we're heroes. It's only 30. And that's what I'm afraid of.
Well, look at Governor Hochul's statement. She goes, well, I applaud the PSC for reducing, but now we have to do but that's just, she does it on crime policy. She's always pointing the finger. She does it on redistricting policy. She does it on energy policy. She does it on the corrections office. She points the finger and says but never looks in the mirror at their own policies that are causing these problems.
Yep. A comment from Ken. Unless I misunderstood something, the 100-foot rule is a moot point, since the new law starting in 2026 doesn't allow connection of natural gas or propane to any building 5 stories or under.
But corrected with the All Electric Buildings Act, that's what it does on new. But the thing for Ken and others, it's not just the 100-foot rule doesn't just affect new, it affects conversions.
Okay.
And I'll tell you, in New York City, and because I remember having this discussion with my colleagues down in New York City when we were talking about fracking back then, and I was talking to the guy who worked for the borough president, Scott Stringer, his staff person. They said, we're for banning fracking. I'm like, why? Yeah. And then as we were going on in the conversation, he's like, well, we're doing all these conversions from oil boilers. I go, excuse me, what do you convert them to? He goes, natural gas. I go, natural gas? He goes, yeah, it sounds a little hypocritical. I go, little? My God, but so there's a lot of people, especially in New York City, they have oil boilers. I mean, it's a dirty burning fuel, and they're converting them to natural gas because it's a cleaner burning fuel. So if they want that access, now they're not going to have that access to that. Now they're going to have to, but the subsidy is still in there for electric.
Okay.
Not for gas. And I just think it's ridiculous. And I think it's taking away consumer choice, and it's going to increase the costs for everyone else because you're going to have fewer users on the system. So those maintenance costs, those capital construction costs, instead of being spread out over more people, it's going to be spread over fewer. So the costs are going to increase for everyone else, which is their plan because they want to make it more expensive to be on gas, which should try to encourage you to get onto electric. Full electrification, which is not a reliable source of energy. It's just not, period.
Comment from a different viewer. Phil, how big is New York State government? How much smaller and efficient could it become? Go Doge.
One of my colleagues has a similar legislation called COGE.
I like it.
Yeah.
It's too big. The answer is it's too big. And there's a lot that could become.
$250 billion budget, I mean, is too much, too big. And just to give you a perspective, that's $252 billion. My first year was 2011. Okay. That first budget was $130 billion.
So too much. Yeah. But that's a huge increase.
And then also, just since one party control in 2019, it's increased over $80 billion. Wow. So that's just in that period of time. So just think about that from that perspective. So, we need to make some changes in government for sure.
Finally, and then we'll take a break because I want to talk about the corrections officers. We have a great contingency of corrections officers that watch this program, and just in the area. Mark writes in, what's Phil's take on what would be your colleague, Mamadani, winning the New York City primary? Excuse me. Oof. I mean, have you seen him? It doesn't sound like you've seen him a lot.
Not lately. He hasn't been in Albany. Although interesting, I think he's on the energy committee. One day he came up to me. He's a nice guy, just a little out there. Yeah. Well, he's way out there.
Yeah.
But he came up to me and he asked me, hey, because he always hears me talk about energy policy. He goes, hey, what do you think about nuclear? I think nuclear is great. It's reliable. It's dispatchable. It's clean if you're looking for clean. He goes, we should talk. He never came back and talked to me. But then I got a little worried. I'm like, here I am, a socialist Democrat, or almost communist Democrat, with a conservative Republican and nuclear energy. What would that be? But no, I haven't talked to him since he was gone most of the year, especially when he ran for.
Yeah, when you look at the numbers, he even the only bill he passed, he wasn't even there to vote on it.
Yeah. Yeah,
he's been campaigning the whole time.
He's been campaigning.
But I will say, if I can answer this question, I think he wins. He won the primary. Yeah. I think he wins the general.
I think so too.
Yeah, I think that was meant to say general.
It's a scary thought. I mean, for the business community, because all he wants to do is increase taxes on the wealthy who can move at any time and will move. He wants to socialize everything, free buses, free childcare.
Wants grocery stores.
City-owned grocery stores. Defund the police. He's trying to walk back those comments that he's been
not even doing a good job with it.
No.
Never mind the anti-Semitic language.
He wants social workers on the street, not police officers.
Yeah.
I'd rather have the police officers on the street.
He wanted to get rid of the special force that came in and stopped that shooting and saved lives at the hospital. So, but it's crazy that we're talking about him. I'm the first to eat crow. I thought Cuomo had it. I'm still shocked. He got too big for his britches. He's too cocky and didn't think he had the campaign.
Sure is.
I mean, I think if he would have done that a little different, we wouldn't be talking about Mamdani today. Yeah. Maybe not. Who knows? But let's take a short break. When we come back, we're going to talk about corrections officers. So stay with us. We'll be right back with Frankly Speaking after this. The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam brought to you by Boss Security and Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio. In that studio, Assemblyman Phil Palmesano. A couple quick questions that we want to go through. Not really even a question. I think I heard that President Trump said if Mamdani becomes mayor, he will step in and take over the city. Do you think he will? Yeah, I do. I'll answer that.
I think if especially in the crime situation,
he would. He'd have to.
I mean, look
you said, if you put social workers in the street.
Yeah. If he tries to defund the police, I mean, people want to be safe, and they don't feel safe. And the thing about that point on the crime, Governor Hochul continues to put out statistics that crime is down. Yeah. Now, that's comparing crime to what it was maybe a year ago or 2 years ago. Yeah. If you want to get true crime statistics, you got to look back at 2019 to today. Mm-hmm. And when you look at that, the homicide rate, the violent crime is up significantly in the cities, not just New York City, but all across, like Rochester, Syracuse, Buffalo.
And we're learning from D.C. how the numbers are so easily manipulated. There's a reporter that put out a great op-ed where she was actually sexually assaulted on the streets. And now this is D.C., but she said if you go to look at the records, there is no record of it and what happened. It was more of a violent attack or not. You know how there's different levels.
Oh, yes.
I mean, we all know that you can easily manipulate figures. But I do want to talk about this because I don't want to run too late. And this is, and I know you guys have a fancy acronym for it, but the New York State Correctional Officers and Police Benevolent Association put out their report on the strike. And this is after, almost in a response, would you say, to the state's report?
Yeah, they did, and rightfully so, and I'm glad they did. Because just like anything, the state fails to look in the mirror. Like we talked about the energy policy, they come out and criticize the utilities, but they don't look in the mirror at the policies. Mm-hmm. Immigration stuff, they criticize ICE, but they don't look at their failed policies, like on, like we've seen bail reform or whatever it may be. Raise the age, the driver's license to illegal immigrants, all that stuff.
Yeah.
All those things that they don't look in the mirror. But with this particular, I think hits home. And I would like to say, obviously, to our corrections officers, we don't thank you enough. And what you went through with the work protests and what the Governor Hochul did as far as dismissing 2,000 corrections officers, they failed to look in the mirror about what the policies they were putting in place. I mean, this governor has created, and the past governor, over their tenure, has created a really dangerous powder keg environment inside our correctional facilities.
100%.
You look at it since 2011 under Governor Cuomo and then Kathy Hochul, who's really kind of expedited this process too. 25 plus closures, policies not providing tools and resources to our corrections officers so they can do their job and be safe. More drugs and contraband getting into it. But the violence is up significantly, and it really stems from the HALT Act. Mm-hmm. The HALT Act was a provision, I forget it's the acronym, but basically it's about segregated confinement. Some say solitary confinement. I say segregated confinement, which gives the ability of law enforcement, correction officers, to segregate the most dangerous and violent inmates from the rest of the general population. So when they passed the HALT Act, they put severe restrictions and sometimes a limited ability of our corrections officers inside our correctional facilities to do that. So after year one, the assault numbers were increasing dramatically. They said it's not enough time. Year two, not enough time. Well, this year they reached year three. there's been enough time, and I think the statistics prove it for themselves. Inmate assaults are up over 76% during that 3-year period to a record high of over 2,000 assaults. Now, everyone talks about the inmates. They seem to care more about the inmates than they do the law enforcement and public safety. Well, inmate assaults are up over 169% during this 3-year period to a record high of 3,000. And then increases of contraband are up over 32% during this period of time, going from 3,500 to almost 4,700 during that time period. It's just getting more drugs. And when you got more drugs inside the facilities, you have more violence inside the facilities. So they try to say we're doing this, and they blame the corrections officers, and I don't understand. And when I went and talked to the corrections officers, Elmira, up 5 points over at Groveland, and when I talked to them, this was not about money to them. It was about quality of life, and it was about public and their safety. Yeah. I mean, they're getting going and mandated for hours upon hours, getting the personal time taken away, days off taken away from working some 24, 18, 24-hour shifts at different times. And they wanted a quality of life. I mean, I talked to one CEO who said, I made this, $80,000 in overtime. I don't want that. I want that time with my family
and friends.
But that's because of these policies. And we've seen a decrease in staff. So it's just one thing after another. And I remember the budget hearing 2 years ago, I talked to the corrections acting commissioner. He goes, we need to shut down prison because we have a staffing crisis. I'm like, how does that make sense to me, to you? I go, we have a staffing crisis in hospitals and nursing homes. You don't shut them down. You do more. You do recruitment bonuses. You do retention bonuses. You do better benefits. You make their quality of life better to help them. So we don't shut them down. So we shouldn't be shutting down our correctional facilities. But yet we continue to. And what was the governor's response last year during the budget during the protests? She proposed for more prison closures. Yeah. Are you kidding me? What's that? That's just more of an insult. And again, with 90-day notice, because when they shut down a prison in 90 days, that's an insult to those families. So these families got to uproot their family and find a new school, new home, or have to an extra long commute to get to work. That's stress on the family. That's stress on those. And one thing the governor could have done, which would have sent a positive message to our corrections officers, is to sign the death gamble benefit. And for the viewers, what the death gamble is, so when you're in the state retirement system, you get to a certain age when you can retire. For a corrections officer right now, it's 25 years you can retire at a percentage of your salary. But if you want to work beyond that time, if you were to die after you met your eligibility guidelines and died in service, your widow would not be entitled to your pension benefit.
Why do it? Yeah.
You get a death benefit, which is meager compared to that. So why would they want to risk that pension for their loved one? Well, what the death gamble would have done is it would have protected that pension and say, okay, if this CEO wants to stay and keep working beyond their retirement time, then that pension benefit is guaranteed for their spouse and their loved one and their family. And that's what they should have done. The governor's vetoed it twice. Andrew Cuomo vetoed it twice. Hochul's vetoed it twice. And she's always said, well, it has to be part of the budget. But yeah, she doesn't put it in her budget. This is mind-blowing to me. She's just she doesn't care about the corrections officers. She might say she does, but she doesn't back it up with the policy. Just like she says she's for affordability, for energy policy. Yeah. But she doesn't back it up with her policy. She says she cares about our corrections officers, but she doesn't back it up with her policy. It's hypocritical and it's wrong.
No, and in regards to New York State Corrections Officer and Police Benevolent Association's report, who we talked about earlier, Elise Stefanik, and we'll end. We've got a break after this, but this is from Elise Stefanik saying, Kathy Hochul has turned her back on law enforcement officers again and again, especially our hardworking correction officers. It's in a scathing report that blasts the worst governor in America for putting the rights of violent inmates over law enforcement. The union representing corrections officers stated they warned Kathy Hochul before the strike that prisons were dangerous, a powder keg, a strike was imminent, and the lives of officers were at risk. Hochul did nothing. The worst governor in America took no action and instead chose to destroy the lives of corrections officers and their families. On point.
I couldn't. She said it perfectly.
Yeah, at least
that's like a mic drop right there.
Exactly.
She said it perfectly, and Governor Hochul is completely out of touch, and she needs to go.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. We'll be right back. Stay with us. The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam, brought to you by Boss Security and Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio, wrapping up today's edition of Frankly Speaking in the studio. Assemblyman Phil Palmesano. Let's end on a positive note. We've been a little doom and gloom. First of all, this comment from a viewer. Good morning, Frank. Always an informative Friday with Phil. Great show, great weekend to you both. That's nice.
Yes, thank you.
I forgot to call it Fridays with Phil at this point in the interview. the fair. It's that time of year. Steuben County Fair. What do you think? You going?
I am. Actually, I'm going to be there tonight.
Right.
Working the booth from 4 to 6.
Oh, you took the late shift.
I did.
Oh, that's fun.
So
I was there on Wednesday. We had a lot of viewers come over and say hi and talk about the candidates. Not much, it's kind of an off year, but.
Well, the Steuben County Fair, what a rich tradition and history we have with the fair there.
I agree. Did you see this, by the way, Phil? I know I keep showing everybody. I'm a bragger, but last year somebody sent me this. A viewer sent me this. I still don't know who sent it. You can tell me at any time or take credit for it.
Eat, sleep, pig race.
Yeah, because of course it's not the pig race. It's not the Steuben County Fair till you check out the pig races. It's funny because when you're manning the booth and you hear the call to post, that whole place just clears out.
Does it really?
Yeah. So if you had people talking, or you had all of a sudden they were waiting in there to kill some time before the pig races. That's what I've learned. But I think we've covered a lot of things today, Phil. Anything else? I think let me look at the time. We're just about out of time. I think there's a few other things. The hypocrisy of Albany saying that ICE has to wear masks.
Oh my God.
Right? I mean, this is a time when Jewish students and Jewish residents of New York City were being actively harassed by people in masks, wearing those masks for a reason. Nothing was done about it, but now ICE is the problem.
Yeah, they pushed. Governor Hochul was trying to get a mask ban, and those same Democrats who are pushing the mask ban on ICE agents who are trying to protect us were adamantly opposed to the mask ban on these individuals who are causing problems and committing crimes as well. So that's the hypocrisy time and again.
100%. Phil, thanks for giving us so much time this morning. Have fun at the fair.
Thank you.
Have a root beer for me.
Yeah.
All right. I love it. All right. Join us Monday morning. Wow. This week went fast. Join us Monday morning starting at 6 for Frankly Speaking. We'll see you then.